Glenn, you're doing that thing with your glasses that makes all the girls crazy. Hi, Glenn.
Hey, Steph, how are you?
It's the I'm about to read an important legal document glasses. I see what you're doing.
Oh, my God.
That was
Is the Dolly Parton statue true?
Yes.
Yes. Well, they're talking about it. Yes.
Yes. There's a petition to replace.
Talk about erecting a statue. Thank you. I'll be here all
Oh,
night.
Whoa!
Glenn
Wow.
Kirschner.
That's all I got.
Wow. Did Glenn Kirschner just make a joke on my
You did.
What is happening?
Wow.
Normally, we only talk about the penal code. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll be here all week with Glenn. Glenn, this is good. We're a little giddy because of the Supreme Court, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be nice to have a
Yeah.
Supreme Court you're not shocked when they do the right thing, just in basic
Yeah.
human rights and civil rights?
It's nice when they bump into a correct constitutional decision. And, you know, I hesitate to say that I still have some hope that the Supreme Court, some of the justices will do the right thing, hopefully for the right reason, but even for the wrong reason, I'll take it. There are some justices who still believe in that conservative constitutional principle, not conservative like liberal or conservative, but applying the law as written, looking at the Constitution and saying, you know, equal protection kind of means equal protection. And so I'm definitely heartened to see this. I hope we're not being set up for a huge letdown on the tax return case or some other case, but that was just a huge welcome development yesterday.
Yeah. I think there's you look on the streets, Glenn, I think there's just a basic movement that you can see where 80% of Americans are now behind the protest, behind the Black Lives Matter movement. You've got, you have to hear Tucker Carlson just for a minute. This moment on Fox News last night.
Here's some bracing news we never expected to report. Black Lives Matter is now more popular than the President of the United States, and not slightly more popular than the President, much more popular.
Wow. Yes, but just these basic, when you watch the George Floyd video, there is a basic sense of fairness in Americans that there is something happening in the streets of America. And I think that, like I was saying, I'm a gay woman, Glenn, and I just thought, I can't believe we've gotten to 2020 where it was still even a question. Can you be fired for being gay? Can you be fired for joining a gay softball team? It's just...
Yeah. And here is what
that's insanely un-American, right?
It's so exciting, Steph. We've been abused. The American people have been abused by Donald Trump and his band of sycophants for the past 3.5 years. And nothing has driven us to the streets, right? Then we have the coronavirus hit. Now we're abused in a whole new way because we're being abused physically. And we continue to be abused by Trump because he refuses to do anything, to lift a finger to protect Americans, to seize control of the distribution chain of what it is we need to live, PPE, test kits. He just keeps telling us to ingest poison, hydroxychloroquine. He's still saying that even though his own CDC said, you know what, it will kill you, so don't listen to the president. But here's the thing. We have been abused over and over and over again over the past 3.5 years. Nothing has driven us to the streets until we saw what those police officers did to our brother, George Floyd. That is what is so important to Americans and to citizens around the world when you see these protests in other countries. That is what we feel so strongly about, that we're like, enough. Let's get the hell out there and let's change this. I think that's a great sign that we are in a moment when everything else we've had to endure wasn't enough to drive us to the streets, but what we saw those men do to George Floyd was.
Yeah. Here's the kind of things you tweet that puts the Q in my LGBTQ.
Oh, God.
Stephanie.
What? You said the corruption, the abuse, the criminality, the graft, the grift of the American people continues unabated, unaddressed, unconstrained. Come January, investigations, indictments, trials, convictions, and prison terms. Hashtag Trump Crimes Commission. Oh, yeah. Let me ask you something about the disgrace that is Brett Kavanaugh. So I do think we should, he committed perjury. There has got to be a way to right the wrongs that have been done in this.
Yeah, there is. And I've got a video about this on my YouTube channel. I hope everybody will go visit it. It's called Unpacking the Courts, because we saw Brett Kavanaugh in real time lie under oath when he was testifying in his confirmation hearing. You know, you don't have to be a human lie detector. You don't need to be Sherlock Holmes to have seen him lying. The fact of the matter is the Trump administration told the FBI to stand down, do not do an investigation that would expose Kavanaugh's lies because we want him on the Supreme Court. There is nothing vindictive or improper to have the FBI come January do the investigation that, frankly, they should have done the first time around. Expose those lies. Now he's subjected to both perjury charges and being removed from the court, being impeached as a judge. I don't want to say it's easy, but it's imminently doable, and it has to be done. We don't just let Mitch McConnell get away with packing the courts of unqualified judges. We are going to remedy what Mitch McConnell broke over these past 4 years.
Q. Oh, I'm sorry. I was thinking of a character from a movie.
What?
The Q in LGBTQ. Oh. Look at him. Look at him. Look at how truth, the power he speaks.
God.
Okay. What? Okay, listen. You also were on Steve Mnuchin. We're going to get to everybody under Attorney General Glenn Kirschner. But because we're talking about, he's not going to disclose now after he said he would who all these loans went to for small businesses. And you said, friendly reminder, attempting to cover up a crime is also a crime. Much attempting to bribe someone, solicit a bribe from someone's a crime, whether or not the bribe is consummated, and attempting to obstruct justice is a crime, whether or not the obstruction succeeds. So here we go again, right? You said Treasury Secretary Mnuchin playing hide and seek with taxpayer dollars. Is he hiding rampant crime, corruption, or cronyism? I'm going to go out on a limb and say yes. I mean... Yeah,
he's working his way up the batting order on the Trump Crimes Commission indictment, and it's getting bigger by the day. It's no secret that when an administration takes $2.2 trillion that Congress has appropriated to help, we the people get through our national health emergency. And they start out by saying, there will be complete transparency. Why can we promise you this? Because we have an excellent Inspector General, Glenn Fine, who really was an excellent Inspector General, long time, a career public servant, doing the right thing. And then a week later, they're like, yeah, you know what? Not so much. We're firing him, and we ain't telling you S. We're not telling the American people how we are spending your money. There is so much grift and graft and crime and corruption abuse being perpetrated right now. It's like this fire sale because they know they're out. They know they're out in January. There's just no two way. 14 points down in Michigan. They are out in January, so they are like grabbing everything they can, stuffing their pockets.
Talk about looting.
And we're going to need to bring charges against all of them. Again, not vindictive, not retribution. We need to have full, fair, nonpartisan, apolitical criminal investigations. And guess what? We give all this evidence to the grand jury. And then we ask the grand jury if there's enough to indict. They didn't find enough to indict Andrew McCabe, for example, much to Donald Trump's chagrin. I predict they will find enough to indict Trump, Mnuchin, Don Jr., Jared Kushner, all of them. But if the grand jury doesn't, if they say, you know what, you've presented all the evidence, there's not quite enough, we live with that because that's the way the system works.
Well, just as you said that, Glenn, the light bulb went off. When he's running on Law and Order, so are we, right? So are we. We're running on actual Law and Order. Let's talk Flynn for a minute. You said Barr's attempt to kill Flynn's case for lying to the FBI is entirely unjust. If he succeeds in convincing Judge Sullivan to dismiss Flynn's case, justice demands Flynn stand trial for all his crimes, including the ones the DOJ presently asserts he committed with Rafikian, whatever his, as you said. Let me point out this prosecutorial inconsistency. DOJ prosecutors are still going after Mike Flynn's criminal business partner, Bijan Rafikian. In their latest brief, prosecutors say Flynn is a co-conspirator. So how can he be both innocent and a co-conspirator is your point, right?
Yeah, this highlights Bill Barr's folly and favoritism when it comes to Mike Flynn. The Department of Justice is prosecuting Mike Flynn's criminal business partner, Bijan Rafikian. In the documents that they're filing, in furtherance of that prosecution, they're saying, by the way, Mike Flynn, big fat criminal, co-conspirator, did a whole bunch of crimes with his business partner when they were illegally lobbying for Turkey. They're really not talking out of both sides of their mouths. DOJ is talking out of one side of its mouth. And Bill Barr is over here yapping for the president, trying to kill the Flynn guilty plea. It doesn't make any sense. So, you know, I love Judge Sullivan. Again, patriotic goosebumps every time I see another move by Judge Emmett Sullivan. So if Judge Emmett Sullivan concludes at the end of all of this litigation, for whatever reason, you know what? I reluctantly have to dismiss the case, the guilty plea against Mike Flynn. Guess what? In January, Mike Flynn gets prosecuted for everything because in his guilty plea, he said, not only did I lie to the FBI, and I'm pleading guilty to that, I also filed false documents with the Department of Justice so I could lie about my lobbying efforts with Turkey. That is evidence that we can then use against him. We can prosecute him successfully in our sleep come January. So you know what? If Emmett Sullivan decides I have to dismiss the case, it's going to go even worse for Flynn come January.
You said on Twitter, I strongly suspect the court will deny Flynn's request that the appellate court ordered Sullivan to dismiss the case. Is that still the tea leaf you're reading?
Yeah, when I listened to the appellate argument a couple of days ago, it looks like it'll probably break 2-1, two judges voting against ordering Judge Sullivan to dismiss the case. Probably Judge Rao, who is very outcome-oriented and angling for a spot on the Supreme Court in the event one becomes available in the next few months. So here's what I think will happen. They'll deny it. They'll send it back to Judge Sullivan. He will litigate this. He will demand people show up and explain themselves, perhaps up to and including Bill Barr, I hope. And then he'll do what he thinks is right. And it may be what he thinks is right is I'm going to deny the motion to dismiss. I'm going to sentence Mike Flynn. I'm going to put him in prison. And I'm going to basically make the government stick with the plea agreement it entered into a couple of years ago.
Okay. And quickly, in the midst of a pandemic and, unrest in every city, Lindsey Graham serves up 50 frivolous subpoenas. You said Lindsey might be sorry he went down this road. And by the way, you also point out this plainly is not a product of just politics. Russia hacked the DNC and the RNC servers. They released the DNC emails to hurt the Dems and help Trump get elected. They withheld the RNC emails to use to maximum advantage compromat. That's the only thing that makes sense. And here we are, right?
Yeah. Nothing else makes sense to me as to why Lindsey Graham would turn on a dime saying Donald Trump will destroy the country and we will deserve it, to saying that's my man, what's our tea time? So what I like about this, folly by Lindsey Graham issuing 50 subpoenas where, Steph, they wouldn't issue a single dang subpoena to try to conduct a trial against a president who had been impeached. The Senate wouldn't issue a single subpoena, but they're going to issue 50 subpoenas to go back and relitigate the origins of the Russia investigation. What nonsense that is. But you know what? First of all, the people that they are subpoenaing, Sally Yates, John Brennan, James Clapper, Jim Comey, these people give a rat's behind about the rule of law. They're going to show up on the subpoenas and they're going to testify truthfully. And Lindsey Graham, look out what you wish for, because my first question for John Brennan would be, Director Brennan, can you please tell the American people every single shred of compromising information Russia and Putin has on Donald Trump? And by the way, did you bring any videotapes?
Oh, yeah, right there. Oh, and then finally, the Q in my LGBTQ, brought to you by Attorney General Glenn Kirschner. Policing must be a partnership. Okay, you're just showing off. You're just showing off. Your big, sexy brain. All right.
And I might, someone pointed out on Twitter that Matt Miller started out with a D joke last week, and now Glenn Kirschner started out with a D joke.
I drag them all down with me eventually. Yeah. I love you best, Glenn Kirschner. Bye.
Love you, Steph.
We'll see ya.
Thanks, Glenn.
See ya.